Imagine a city where majestic mosques whisper stories of a golden past, where vibrant plazas hum with the rhythm of flamenco, and where sunlit courtyards bloom with the fragrance of orange blossoms. Welcome to Córdoba, Andalucía, a city that bridges history and enchantment. Welcome back to Lolomilo Diaries. We live in London, but our love for history, culture, and discovery takes us to incredible places. This time, our journey brings us to the heart of Andalucía, to the historic and magical city of Córdoba. Today, we invite you to uncover Córdoba's rich tapestry of culture and history, a story woven with threads of Islamic art, Spanish tradition, and timeless beauty. Córdoba, once the capital of the Umayyad Caliphate, is a city of unparalleled cultural fusion, from the breathtaking architecture of the Mezquita-Catedral to the charming alleys of the Jewish quarter. At its peak in the 10th century, it was home to over 500,000 people and the largest library in Europe, housing nearly 400,000 manuscripts. It's not every day that you walk into a place that shaped the course of history. When we arrived, the air was heavy with the scent of orange blossoms, and the city greeted us with an aura of timeless elegance. Our first stop was the city center, a lively mix of modern life and ancient charm. Walking through Plaza de las Tendelas, we could almost hear the echoes of history. The square wasn't always the bustling hub as it is today. Centuries ago, it was a quieter corner, but as Córdoba grew, this became the heartbeat of the city. The clock tower caught our attention, not because of its appearance, but because of its sound. Did you know it doesn't ring with bells like most clocks? Instead, it strums a flamenco guitar tune. It's a small touch, but it captures the essence of Andalusia's soul. We made our way to our hotel, a stunning gym nestled in the heart of Córdoba's old town. Stepping inside felt like entering a completely different world, where the hustle and bustle of the street outside faded away, replaced by the serenity and beauty of traditional Andalusian architecture. The hotel was a perfect reflection of Córdoba itself, elegant yet unassuming, rich in history but warmly welcoming. This place did not just feel like a hotel, it felt like we were guests in an ancient Andalusian home. If you've ever visited Damascus, you would feel a familiarity here. When you think of Córdoba, one place immediately comes to mind, the Mezquita-Catedral. And let us tell you, no matter how much you've read or heard about it, nothing compares to standing inside. This masterpiece began as a Visigothic church, then transformed into a grand mosque during the Islamic Golden Age. At its peak, it symbolized the prosperity of Al-Andalus, and Córdoba became one of the most important cities in the Islamic world. Its design, ingenious. The red and white arches were crafted to make the space feel infinite, creating a serene yet inspiring atmosphere. As we stood in the heart of the Mezquita-Catedral, surrounded by its iconic red and white arches, we couldn't help but feel a sense of, again, familiarity, a connection to another great masterpiece over 4,000 kilometers away, the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus. The Mezquita wasn't just inspired by Damascus, it carries its spirit. One of its most remarkable chapters begins in the 8th century with the rise of Abdul Rahman I, the founder of Umayyad Emirate of Córdoba. After the fall of Damascus in 750 AD, the Umayyad dynasty was overthrown by Abbasids. Abdurrahman, then just a young prince, narrowly escaped the massacre that wiped out his entire family. He fled across North Africa seeking refuge, constantly on the move. His journey was perilous, and he was forced to leave behind everything he knew. But Abdurrahman was a visionary, and his exile did not mean the end of his legacy. He eventually reached Al-Andalus in the Iberian Peninsula, where he found a divided and unstable region. With his charisma, intelligence, and the support of Syrian loyalists who had fled with him, he unified the territory and declared himself emir in 756 AD, establishing Córdoba as his new capital. He brought the cultural and architectural traditions of Damascus to Córdoba, shaping it into a city that would rival the great capitals of the Islamic world. Under his leadership, Córdoba flourished, and the Great Mosque, his crowning achievement, became a symbol of his determination to rebuild what was lost. His story reminds us that even in exile, resilience and vision can turn despair into greatness. The Great Mosque of Damascus, one of the oldest and most revered mosques in the world, served as a blueprint for the Mezquita. In fact, we've shared a vlog from Old Damascus where we explored the Umayyad Mosque, one of the wonders of Islamic architecture. If you haven't seen that vlog yet, we highly recommend you watch it. It's amazing to witness how these two cities, separated by oceans and centuries, are so deeply intertwined through history and architecture. As we stood inside the magnificent Mezquita-Catedral, it's impossible not to reflect on the brilliant minds that once walked the city. One of them was Abbas ibn Firnas. Abbas ibn Firnas was an inventor, poet, musician, and perhaps most famously a pioneer of aviation. He dreamed of flying long before Leonardo da Vinci sketched his famous flying machines. Did you know that Abbas ibn Firnas attempted one of his most daring experiments right here in Córdoba? According to historical accounts, he launched himself from a tall structure believed by many to be part of the Great Mosque in an attempt to soar like a bird. Using a contraption made of silk and wooden wings, he managed to glide for a brief moment before landing. While his landing was perfect, it was a groundbreaking step in the history of flight. After the Reconquista in 1236, when Christian forces reclaimed Córdoba, the mosque was transformed into a cathedral. But here's the fascinating part. Instead of destroying the mosque, the Christians built their cathedral within it. This decision resulted in one of the most unique architectural blends in the world, a harmonious clash of Islamic and Christian artistry. Standing beneath the soaring Gothic ceilings of the central nave, surrounded by the elegant arches of the mosque, we couldn't help but feel the weight of history. This wasn't just a building, it was a dialogue between civilizations, a testament to Córdoba's ability to adapt, endure, and inspire. لكل شيء إذا ما تم نقصانه فلا يغر بطيب العيش إنسان. هي الأيام كما شاهدتها دول من سره زمن ساءته أزمان. وهذه الدار لا تبقي على أحد ولا يدوم على حال لها شان. Al-Andalus was not just a place of power and prosperity. It was a land of beauty and longing, immortalized in poetry that still resonates today. One of the greatest reflections on the fall of Al-Andalus comes from Abu al-Bakr al-Randi, a 13th century Andalusian poet. His lament, Ritha al-Andalus, captures the heartbreak of a civilization in decline. In his verses, al-Randi mourns the loss of cities like Córdoba, Seville, and Granada to Christian forces during the Reconquista. His words are haunting. Everywhere you see desolation, a soul wounded, and a hand helpless to mend. One mighty, now fallen to dust. The days of glory turn to me tales for the telling. He speaks of a land that was once a paradise, where art, science, and knowledge flourished, but that now lay in ruins. His poem reflects not only the physical loss of Al-Andalus, but also the emotional and cultural devastation felt by its people. we wandered into Cordoba's famous allies, where every step felt like peeling back another layer of the city's soul. The Jewish quarter, known as La Judería, was a labyrinth of narrow streets lined with whitewashed walls and colorful flower pots. It's a reminder of Cordoba's Jewish golden age. We also stumbled upon traditional hammams, public baths that date back to Islamic Córdoba. These weren't just places for bathing, they were spaces for community, relaxation, and even diplomacy. As we walked through the streets of Córdoba, we couldn't help but think about the incredible minds that once called the city home. One of the most remarkable figures from Córdoba's golden age was Muhammad ibn Aslam al-Ghafiqi, a physician whose contributions to medicine shaped the course of history. Among the most influential figures in the city's golden age was none other than Ibn Rushd, or as the West would later know him, Averroes. Ibn Rushd's legacy continues to inspire us today, reminding us of the power of critical thinking, the importance of bridging cultures, and the everlasting quest for wisdom. As we ventured further into Córdoba, our journey led us to one of the city's most iconic landmarks, the Roman Bridge, spanning the Guadalquivir River. This ancient structure has witnessed over 2,000 years of history, connecting the two sides of the city in both practical and symbolic ways. When we first laid eyes on the bridge, it felt as though we had stepped back in time. Did you know that the Roman bridge was originally built in the 1st century BC during the reign of Emperor Augustus? Over the centuries, it has been rebuilt and reinforced, but its core structure remains a testament to Roman engineering. Its 7 arches and massive stone foundations have withstood the test of time, making it one of the most enduring symbols of Cordoba's past. As we crossed the bridge, the wind carried with it whispers of centuries, old stories. It wasn't just the physical bridge that captured our attention. It was the journey across it that made us feel as if we were walking in the footsteps of those who came before us. The bridge felt familiar, especially when we noticed the large water wheels beside it. We remembered the wheels on Al-Asi River in Hama, Syria. This was striking, the same elegant, ancient design for harnessing the power of the river. It felt as though the culture of Hama and Córdoba were subtly intertwined through time and space. This moment was special because it tied together our journey across different lands and histories, seeing the connection between past and present, between cultures and civilizations, all reflected in the timeless stones beneath our feet. The Roman Bridge of Córdoba wasn't just a landmark, it was a living testament to the city's enduring strength and beauty. After hours of exploring, we were ready for a feast. Cordoba's food is as rich as its history, and we couldn't wait to dive into its culinary treasures. The city's vibrant food sense, deeply rooted in the Andalusian tradition, offers dishes that tell stories of the land and the people who have shaped it. We started with rabo de toro, oxtail stew, a dish that carries with it centuries of tradition. Once considered a humble meal for bullfighters, this hearty stew has evolved into one of Cordoba's culinary icons. The oxtail is slow-cooked for hours, allowing the flavors to melt together perfectly. When the dish arrived at our table, the aroma was enough to make our mouths water in anticipation. To complement the rabo de toro, we ordered bravas potatoes, crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside. The bravas sauce, smoky and spicy, added just the right amount of heat without overpowering the dish. But no meal in Cordoba is complete without dessert. We couldn't resist trying pastel Cordoba, the city's signature sweet. This delicate pastry, layered with smooth custard and topped with a generous dusting of powdered sugar, immediately caught our attention. As soon as we took our first bite, it was like tasting sunshine, a perfect balance of sweetness and lightness, with the custard melting in our mouths, and the pastry offering just the right amount of crispiness. I wasn't sure if we could fit in one more dessert, but when the silky smooth caramel arrived at our table, all doubts melted away. The creamy texture combined with just the right amount of sweetness was absolutely divine. It was rich, velvety, and the perfect balance to the pastry we had just enjoyed. It was worth every extra calorie. As the day came to an end, we found ourselves reflecting on everything Cordoba has shown us. It's not just a city, it's a living, breathing tapestry of history, culture, and resilience. Cordoba taught us that beauty isn't always loud or flashy. Sometimes it's subtle, gentle, and waiting to be discovered in the most unexpected places. If we could go back, we'd tell ourselves one thing: take your time, don't rush through the streets or the stories. Cordoba has a way of revealing its secrets slowly, like a mystery that unfolds with every step you take. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through Cordoba. We hope that this video has sparked your curiosity to discover this beautiful city for yourself. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Lolomilo Diaries for more adventures like this one. We'll see you in the next chapter of our journey, wherever it takes us next.